Whether you're taking a domestic flight or venturing abroad, flying with a pet can be a smooth experience with the right preparation. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about traveling with your pet on a plane, including some important tips for international travel. Let's go.
Dream vacations start here.
So first things first, let's talk about what kinds of pets are allowed on commercial flights. Most airlines now will only allow you to travel with just cats and or dogs, while others will allow a variety of different types of pets to be carried on board. Each airline has their own policies when it comes to traveling with your pet, so you want to review them carefully to make sure you won't run into any issues. For U.S. airline carriers, I would start with Delta, JetBlue, and Southwest, as they have been praised for their pet-friendly policies. Also, when it comes time to book your flight, it might be best to look for off-peak and direct flight options. Crowded airports and layovers can add unnecessary stress to your pet, and direct flights may cost more, but the ease for your pet might be worth the extra expense. Most airlines will limit the number of pets that are allowed on board, so you want to book as early as possible so you won't get locked out of your preferred flight. You can also expect to pay a pet fee in addition to your own flight ticket that generally ranges between $100 and $150 each way per pet. Although if you're a frequent flyer with the airline, there could be a pet program available that you could take advantage of. Now let's talk about the size of your pet. If you're looking to bring your pet on board the airplane with you, they're going to have to be small enough to fit inside an enclosed carrier under the airplane seat. You can find specific carrier sizing measurements on the airline's website or by contacting the airline directly. The exception is if you have a fully trained service animal, in which case there is no size limit and you'll be allowed on the plane even if the flight has reached its pet limit. And I'll add some links to some pet travel accessories, including airline pet carriers, for your convenience in the video description, so make sure you check those out. If your pet does not meet the size requirement to be carried on board, then some airlines do have the ability to have your pet transported in their cargo hold area. This area is pressurized and temperature controlled, and it is a requirement that your pet be crated. So it really depends on if you think your pet would do well in that type of an environment. Now, once you have determined that you meet the pet policies for the airline and that your pet will do well on an airplane, let's now talk about the preparation for the flight. Some airlines will require a health certificate from your vet confirming that your pet is fit for air travel. Your vet can also give you tips for keeping your pet comfortable during the flight or recommend mild sedatives to keep your pet calm during the journey. In addition, the airline may require vaccination records, which you can also get from your vet. If you're wanting to travel with your pet internationally, then this will require a lot more planning and preparation in advance. Just like the airlines, each country has its own policies and regulations with regards to bringing a pet into a foreign country. Here's what you need to know. Number one, pet passport. While not universally accepted, many countries offer or recognize a pet passport, which is a document that records all the vaccinations and treatments your pet has had. This is especially useful within the EU. Number two, a health certificate. Almost universally required, this certificate, which is usually obtained from a licensed veterinarian, proves that your pet is in good health and free from contagious diseases. But just note, some countries demand that the certificate be issued shortly before travel. Number three, vaccination records. Most countries require pets to be vaccinated against certain diseases, with rabies being the most common. Ensure you have official documentation of all vaccinations, including the date they were administered and their validity period. Number four, microchipping records. If your pet is microchipped, which is a requirement for many countries, ensure you have the details, including the date of implantation and the 15-digit ISO compliant number. Number five, treatment records. Some nations will require proof of recent treatments against parasites like ticks and tapeworms. Always check the specific requirements for your destination. Number six, import permit. Certain countries might require you to obtain an import permit before your pet can enter. This often entails submitting documentation in advance and awaiting approval. Number seven, quarantine documentation. If the country you are visiting has a mandatory quarantine period for incoming pets, you may need to book a space in a quarantine facility and provide this documentation upon arrival. Number eight, breed documentation. Some countries have restrictions on certain breeds. If you own a breed that is often subject to such restrictions, carry documentation that certifies your pet's breed, especially if it's commonly mistaken for a restricted breed. Number nine, identification. Ensure your pet has a secure collar with an ID tag that contains their name, your name, and a contact number. While it's not a formal document, it's essential for emergencies. Number 10, photos. Carry a recent photo of your pet. This can be invaluable if you're separated or if there's any dispute about your pet's identity. Number 11, emergency contacts. Along with your documentation, keep a list of important contacts like local vets, pet hospitals and animal welfare organizations in the destination country. Number 12, backup copies. Digitalize all your documents and store them in the cloud or a USB drive. Having backup copies ensures you are covered if the originals are lost. Number 13, language considerations. If you're traveling to a country where you don't speak the language, consider having your key documents translated and certified to avoid any misunderstandings. Number 14, local regulations. Beyond entry requirements, familiarize yourself with local pet rules and customs to ensure a hassle-free stay. Number 15, dedicated pet folder. Organize all your documents in a detailed folder so that they're all easy to present when needed. Now let's talk about preparing your pet for the flight. If you're buying a new carrier for the flight, take your pet on short trips in the carrier before the big flight so they can get comfortable being in the new carrier. Make sure to bring comfort items like a familiar blanket, a favorite toy, or even a warm piece of your clothing that can help calm your pet. You'll also want to bring portable water and food to keep your pet hydrated and well fed, but you want to double check with the airline about the food you'll be bringing, as some airlines do have rules regarding the type of pet food you can bring on the plane. You also need a leash and a collar if you'll be taking a dog, as you'll have to take your pet out of the carrier when going through security, since the carrier itself will need to go through the X-ray scanner. You also want to bring waste bags and cleaning supplies, as accidents can happen. And in case you're wondering where you can take your pet to the bathroom, just about every airport has pet relief areas where pets can relieve themselves, drink water, and stretch before boarding a flight. The relief areas typically include a grass area, which is usually either real or fake, a space to move around, waste disposal bags, and soap dispensers for hand washing. These relief areas can either be located inside or outside of the airport, so you want to look up the airports you'll be traveling through to familiarize yourself on where the pet relief areas are located. As far as the check-in process goes for your flight, some airlines will allow you to check in online, while others will require you to check in at the desk. Either way, make sure you arrive early to give yourself enough time to check in and submit the necessary documents and to get through security. And then once you're on board your flight, make sure to keep your pet comfortable and relaxed. Once you land, you can take your pet for a quick walk to stretch your legs, especially if it's been a long flight. And if you're traveling internationally, you may need to go through customs and have your pet checked before entering the country. So with a little bit of planning and preparation, traveling with your pet, even internationally, can be a wonderful experience for the both of you. Make sure you check out the links in the video description for some pet travel accessories, and give the video a like if you found this information helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you again in a future video.